Hey, real quick, before we get into that episode, do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. That way you don't miss out on any marketing nuggets. Enjoy the show.
What I always
Yeah.
consider is that you need to start with awareness.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say impressions don't matter, but I come across businesses that get 100 impressions on their posts. And it's like you just spent all this time creating this content and you're basically screaming into the void.
Hi, I'm Josh Owen. As the owner of a video marketing company in New Orleans, I've been on the quest to learn everything I can about marketing. Everyone has a different style, different strategy, and a different experience. Is there a wrong way to do it? A right way to do it? Let's find out together as we make marketing make sense. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Make Marketing Make Sense. I'm your host, Josh, with Lauren Grace Evans here from FSC Interactive. She is here to talk about small business marketing, but today we're going to be talking specifically because this is a special AMA Comfystone collaboration. So this will be out on AMA as well as on our channel. So we'll be talking a little bit about AMA at the end. So if you're interested, definitely come join the AMA. They're a fantastic organization working for marketers to make marketing a better place in New Orleans. So today, in particular, we're going to talk about small business marketing essentials. And so I think you know a little bit about that, about marketing, about small businesses. You've been in the space for a while. So I'm really excited to hear kind of, from your perspective, what are the essentials? Like, what are the strategies from the start that really are important for a small business to implement to get started?
So I think first and foremost, you need a website. Just because that is going to link to every other thing you do across digital platform. Like you always want to send them to your website, get them on your site, hopefully get their email addresses. So after you have a website, one of the first things I'd recommend is a Google business profile. It's free. They say half of the searches on Google have local intent. So you might as well capitalize on that and be able to show up in maps. Social media is obviously a free platform, but I personally don't believe in posting things without putting money behind them, which is the hard part because I think Facebook and Instagram has made it harder for small businesses. 10 years ago, you could post for free and see like a tick or an uptick in whatever you're tracking. Yeah. And now it's really like you're lucky if 10% of your followers see your content. So I tell people not to really worry about the follower count and to really think about providing a purpose or you got to provide value. Yeah. So I think that on business and on social media is a great way to provide that value. Yeah. And anything you're doing on social media, you should post on your business profile. So I really do believe in like posting things across networks. The most important thing, obviously, is making sure that the content is cropped to the right platform.
Yeah. Well, you gotta know those platforms. Well, before that though, and I'm curious because, and when you're talking about it, for small business especially, it's like you got free, free over here, free over there, free everywhere, it's like free. It's like to you, it can be very stifling for a small business if they're constantly looking for avenues to go down. And small businesses, they don't have a lot of time. So when it comes to that, like what are of these things that are free that you've already mentioned, like what are some of the more ones you think like stand out as the things that give you the most return on your investment, the things you should kind of focus on first?
So focusing on first and foremost, you need to do your research. I love to tell people to go and Google your brand. Not your brand, I'm sorry, your product or your service. Because if you're a new business, you probably don't have that brand recognition. Yeah. And I really let the search engines guide me on what other people are doing, what other people are showing up for. So that's like the first and foremost. Then you need to define your goals. That is one thing I feel like clients can move the goalposts on. So really defining the goals is important. If you want awareness, then social media is your platform. If you want leads, then I'm going to tell you to do Google search. And yes, they all cost money, but like
Yeah.
Even Coca-Cola advertises, and they're like the most
Coca-Cola?
popular. Yeah, they're
They're still out there?
yeah, globally. So,
Wow. Yeah.
you have to tell people about your business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also like to look at what they're already doing.
Mm.
So scaling that. If you are already doing social posts, then like how can you scale that? Because
Yeah.
a lot of the trouble I find with small businesses is their bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
They either
Exactly.
don't have
Exactly.
the employees to support their goals or they don't have the time.
Right.
So I remind them you don't have to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've defined your goals,
Yeah.
then I like to think about who your audience is.
Mm.
So if you want to target based on interest, if
Mm-hmm.
you're a restaurant and you just want someone that's into seafood, then you can do that on social media.
Oh, they
But
got me. I'm big into that seafood. I got I'm there. Pigeon and the whale, you got me sold. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
you told me I need to try that
Oh,
place.
we talked about this already, dude. I'm on that Pigeon and the whale. Go to Pigeon and the Whale. Free advertising. There you go. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, so and then after I think about where their target audience is, because a lot of people get stuck on I need to be on every single platform,
Yeah.
and that's really not
Yeah.
sustainable for some businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So really finding where your target audience is. If you are trying to find professionals, then I'm going to say LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
and target skills, not job titles.
Mm-hmm.
If you are trying to target people that are already searching for whatever you provide,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to go on Google. And then that's when the budget comes into play,
Mm-hmm.
which is the question no one likes.
Mm-hmm.
What's your budget?
Yeah.
And it's usually fairly small, especially for new businesses. So, what I always
Yeah.
consider is that you need to start with awareness.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say impressions don't matter, but I come across businesses that get 100 impressions on their posts. And it's like you just spent all this time creating this content and you're basically screaming into the void.
Yeah.
So I believe that you should always start with some sort of brand awareness and just getting a bigger volume of eyes on your content. Then you can bring in the traffic ads. I see people that just jump straight to sales ads. And it's like you got to warm up the audience. With the fact that they tell us we need 12 touch points, it's like you gotta
You need like 20 touch points. You gotta touch those people. You get out there and touch their souls, you know?
Yes. And I believe that touching them with new content frequently is the best option. Creative fatigue is a thing, and you'll see your results tank because of it.
Yeah.
So those are the first things I look at is research what their competitors are doing. Let's like not reinvent the wheel and just maybe like rotate the tires.
Yeah.
And then I look at the budget and who their audience is. Every platform has a specialty on targeting. And some have better targeting for things than others.
Yeah.
Facebook, if you want parents, if you want engaged people, that's where I would go. Because that's where you're going to get that status update that people tend to keep updated.
Yeah.
Whereas on Facebook, not many people are updating their job titles. So that's not necessarily where I would target professionals.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the thing that comes to my mind, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, is goals important to identify, audience important to identify, budget important to identify. But I'm almost wondering what, from your perspective, having worked with a lot of small businesses, is the correct mindset businesses should be having about their marketing kind of coming into it. Because a lot of times I think about it, like you mentioned, awareness is like really important. But it's like if you don't have the right mindset for awareness, like you're wanting sales so quickly, what's the right mindset that you would want businesses, especially businesses that you work with, to be in when they're thinking about their marketing?
One mindset I love is that you don't expect things quickly.
Yeah.
I think that a lot. Back in the day, it was like SEO's the long game, paid search is immediate. And I think it's changed. Be open. I think you need to test things. And I think that you need to be patient.
Patience is key.
Patience is key. Nothing is immediate. And nothing that's worth it will come quick.
Right.
So it is about building that strong foundation. I think that your website, whether you want leads or sales, you need to decide what that is, and you need to walk through the process of
Mm-hmm.
what your consumers are doing. I've had clients that I've sent leads to, and then no one got the email with the form submission.
Oh
So it
no.
was just wasted
Oh
money.
no.
So a lot of things I think people should do is really pull up their own website,
Yeah.
like play on it on your mobile device,
Yeah.
and actually like step into the consumer's mindset and see what you provide,
Mm-hmm.
what's your like value proposition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what you need to focus on as the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to let whoever's doing the marketing do all the technical strategic stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
think also having trust in your team is important,
Mm. Yeah.
but patience for
Yeah.
sure.
I think that is something I'm learning these days is a CEO failing in a lot of and business owner failing in a lot of way is not being able to trust and not being able to give up, that necessary level of communication to do for people to do the thing that they need to do. And
Yes.
that's yeah, I think that's definitely what holds a lot of CEOs back for sure. So,
And one other big thing
mm,
that I have to like remind clients regularly is that your user behavior is not universal.
mm,
Everyone uses platforms differently based on culture, demos,
mm,
gender. Like, so you can't say, because I'm on TikTok, my company needs to be on TikTok.
yeah.
You need to be where your audience is. And I think a lot of times people get stuck in this whole, well, I don't watch stories, so why would I post a story?
Mm.
And you just can't have that bias
Oh
mindset
yeah,
when
yeah,
you're,
yeah.
doing marketing.
That's not
You,
knowing your audience right there. That's
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Mm.
And I think really before you start diving deep into marketing, you need to have that
Yeah.
analytics data because that's what needs to be
Mm.
driving your
Mm.
strategic decisions, not
Mhm.
just like your own opinions. And even as marketers, like I struggle with
Yeah.
not doing that. Um, but yeah, user behavior is not universal.
Yeah. Well, one thing I was curious about going back to what we were talking about earlier is the objectives that businesses should have. I'm curious. Like we know that they need to be patient, but then like what should they be thinking about as their core objective, their core goals? For marketing specific. Obviously they have their business goals, but then like what is the objective that they should be having with their marketing?
I think that's something they have to answer, right?
Yeah.
I think it's on a client to client basis. Some people will come in and they're just like, we want our content to be seen more. And
Mm,
then in that case, okay, I'm just going to turn your social content into ads.
mm,
And if you want more sales,
mm,
then I'm going to build out a funnel. You're
mm.
going to have to, warm up the audience with conversions and getting sales. I always find the best is the warmest audience. So that's
Yeah.
why remarketing can come into
Yeah.
play, um, targeting people that have already purchased, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, really,
It makes me think, not to cut you off,
no, cut me
but
off.
um uh more so, right, like so everybody's gonna have a
Different.
subjective, but how do they, like, I guess from your perspective, how do you make sure what you're doing is the right thing to be doing, I guess is my thing. Like how do you know that like doing ads is the right thing towards this objective? How do you know that's right, the right step to take? Like when you recommend things to people, like, how do you know what's the right marketing objective?
Usually, I tend to look at what their results are currently and where
Mm,
they can improve. If I'm seeing that their social content, they go to the site and they're there for one
mhm.
second, then I'm like, well, that's not successful.
Yeah.
So I try to start with what they've already
Mhm.
done. A lot of times, the thing I'm going to tell them to do is optimize for website traffic.
Mm,
It's something you own. It gives you the opportunity to collect emails, which is really valuable. And it opens up the opportunity to retarget as long as you have like, the pixels installed
mm, mhm,
on
mhm.
from the social platforms or whatever. But yeah, I think it is a lot of testing. I know a lot of people kind of like don't want to do awareness, but I'm always saying to start with awareness, especially
Yeah.
if you're already making content. Just like get your name out there
Mm,
and then, that's when you can start going lower in the funnel
mm,
and doing these other things that are important to you, whether it's traffic, getting leads, if it's getting sales.
mhm.
So really their business goal will impact what I'm going to say the goal is for the campaigns.
Interesting. You know what I'm curious about is, so let's say a business is getting traffic to their website, but like that traffic isn't leading to any conversions. Like what usually is the problem with that? I'm just out of curiosity on a side note.
No, that's a great question. I would say the audience targeting is off.
Like you think the audience is wrong on the web? Like is that usually the case when it's like you got traffic to the website, but like they're not, so like the audience that's going there is just like this isn't for me, and then they leave it? Or do you think it's like something's wrong with the website, like not explaining that well enough, or the people that the people that are there, they're there, they're going, what? How did I get here? Like what the heck is this? This isn't a pizza shop, you know?
Yeah. So first, I'm going to look at the bounce rate. How many people left before going to a second page? Then I'll look at average engagement on the site. Now that can be a little like. It's hard. It can be a little like subjective, I guess.
Okay.
Because if your website is thin, then like naturally people are not going to stay on there very long. Right. So either I'm going to look at the audience and see if the audience that I'm sending is not really converting, or it could be the website.
Interesting.
If you're not providing value on your website, then there's no reason for someone to stay on there or to fill out a form or call you. So I would look website and audience.
Interesting. Yeah, because I guess that's always something that kind of catches my eye when I see that happen, because every now and then, as a sidebar, this little sidebar, you know, little marketing website sidebar. Well, you know, because I guess like outside of that, you know, when it comes to these essential elements in marketing, you know, if you could give people listening to this podcast a recommendation of like the main things they need, like let's say before they reach, like you're a marketer at an agency, the things that you would hope that people have in place in their businesses before they reach you, or, you know, when they're starting out, the first things that they should set up. You know, you mentioned like the pixel and all that, those kind of things, but, you know, I guess really making sure that you're really set up for success. What are those elements that you, like summing it all up, would give to the people?
I would prefer if they had historical data on Google Analytics. I think that Google offers free platforms that everyone should be on. Google Search Console will give you an insight on how you're appearing in searches organically. Then you have the analytics that will give you data on your website and how people are engaging with your website. Then there's Google Tag Manager, which is a little more technical. But if you are doing a lot of marketing, the best thing to do is have all those pixels in Google Tag Manager.
Interesting.
Because site speed is important. And if you have all these tags firing in one container on Google Tag Manager, it tends to slow it down less.
So I think a lot of people always want to know, I feel like it's always like hidden to know what the cost of marketing can be when they're getting set up for marketing. Can you give people an idea of what they could be spending, should be spending in the marketplace here in New Orleans?
Yes. So what I think people don't realize is that every platform has benchmarks. So a lot of the times I do reverse math.
You're doing those reverse maths.
Yes,
Quick
I'm
maths.
doing reverse math. So if you have, like, okay, so on Meta, they say it costs $7 to hit 1,000 impressions. So at that point, it's like, well, where are you at now? How much do you need, especially knowing that conversion rates are, 5% I'm happy, but it's normally a little lower than that. So I do a lot of reverse math. Like if I need 30 sales and the conversion rate is 1%, then how many people do I need to reach? And then I'll times it by 7. I don't think that there's a set number. I've had clients that I've just put $20 behind posts and they see lift. So I think even a little bit is beneficial. But for a campaign, I would say at least $300 a month.
Gotcha. $300 on the ads.
On the ads a month.
On the ads.
Yes.
What about for like services? Like how much is the services typically? For someone do the ads.
Oh, that depends on the agency.
So, you know, what, like, because, like, is there a number there, or is it just kind of like, is there like a range that you would say is like reasonable?
For my agency specifically, we are hourly. So you're just paying us hourly for our time. And really, you can say, well, I'm only going to spend this much. And then that just affects how many hours that we can put into your work this month. Now, obviously, agencies, I'm an account director
Yeah.
and I love to overservice
Yeah.
because I want to keep clients happy.
Yeah.
But as far as staying profitable, we're definitely like timing our hours and making sure that we're not only not, we don't want to underserve them, we don't want to overserve them,
Yeah.
but we want them to be happy and we don't want to say, oh, you're out of hours this month, can't
Yeah.
help you. So, it really depends on the agency. I definitely think you should shop around. There's agencies out there that I've had so many clients that have said they've been burned by their previous agency, that they were spending 10 grand and they don't know what was done.
Yeah.
And that's alarming.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should have an idea. Your agency should be transparent and you should get reports. And if you don't if you don't know how to read the report, talk to your account director.
That's right.
Or your account executive.
Boom. So somewhere around $300 plus, I'm gonna say $500 a month on like at a minimum. But at a minimum, so that's what you should expect as a business owner.
Yes.
To be like investing in your marketing.
For social, but for Google Ads, what I would do is look at what cost per clicks are.
Yeah.
Just getting an idea of what the cost per clicks are.
And that's going to be different per
keyword.
Yeah.
In ads, on Google Ads, they have like keyword search forecasts and things like that. So you can really also get a gauge of when the search volume is the highest, because that's where you should be spending the most money. I have clients that are seasonal in a sense. One, it's like tax season's their big season.
Yeah.
Well, we're like, you need to flight the budget and put the most money there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to always be the same budget every month. I think you need to let the search volume or just your like business seasonality play into that. But
yeah, boom. I love it. Well, I think that's fantastic. I think just giving people that quick like teaser snippet of it is important, because I think a lot of people want to know what it is. Like I don't even know where to start. I don't know, like, especially it's the worst feeling as a marketer to walk in the door and they're like, I have no idea what to expect from how much this is going to cost. And you're like, well, all right, I guess this is we're going to find out together,
And I think people are often shocked how much agency costs.
Yeah.
But there is perks to hiring an agency.
100%.
You have 10 heads versus the one employee you may have at your company.
100%.
And also everyone at my agency are like specialists in certain things. So like they are always brushing up on the latest trends and things like that. So you're really paying for their experience.
Yeah. It's like hiring a Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. Well, thanks again, Lauren, for joining me on this wonderful conversation. AMA specific. So this is an AMA combo. So we want to definitely give the people out there some ideas of what makes the AMA so special. So to this camera, could you tell people what makes AMA so? What to you was like the reason for joining AMA and what is so special about it?
So I really got involved with AMA whenever my company went remote. And after COVID, the company shrunk in size. So really why I joined was to meet other people in the industry and maybe learn from them. Everyone does things differently. Everyone has experience in things that I might not have as much experience in. So really like meeting people, networking, and learning from them. We also offer a lot of educational, whether it's through AMA's website, they're always putting out content that's helpful as marketers, but also just we have panel events. So really just learning from other people in the industry is the main reason that I joined.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. Well, that's a great answer. I think that's like a very common answer for AMA. Everybody needs more people, community. It's amazing. Well, thanks again, Lauren. So the last thing I'll have you do is tell the people out there where they can find Lauren if they're wanting to get some of these wonderful services that you've been mentioning today. Online, digitally, plugging yourself to the people digitally.
You can find me on LinkedIn.
Hey,
My name's Lauren Grace Evans. Funny story. I grew up with so many Laurens in college, I rebranded.
you did.
And I went by my first and middle name, so that's why
Oh,
Lauren Grace.
you went double name.
I went
You
doubled.
doubled.
I was tired of being Lauren E.
Yeah, Lauren E.
So I rebranded. So you
wow.
can find me on LinkedIn, Lauren Grace Evans, and you can also contact FSC Interactive on their website.
Amazing. Love it. Fantastic. Well, thanks again for joining me, Lauren. This was a fantastic conversation, and we'll see all y'all on the next one. Hold up. Don't close it, though. We'll see all y'all on the next one. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. This episode of Make Marketing Make Sense is brought to you by Comfystone. If your business needs organic social media video content, video ads, or video podcasting, hit up Comfystone at comfystone.com and follow Comfystone on Instagram and TikTok. Until next time, this is Make Marketing Make Sense.